What if I told you that the key to transforming your life, your career, and even the balance of your bank account isn't about luck, connections, or raw talent? It lies in what you choose to do during the very first hour of your day. It might sound unbelievable, but stay with me because I'm going to show you why. Have you ever noticed how most people start their mornings? The alarm goes off, they hit the snooze button, drag themselves out of bed, check their messages, and right away they're met with bad news, bills, reminders of debts, and before they've even brushed their teeth, their mind is already weighed down by worries. And do you know what the real problem with that is? That first stretch of the morning isn't just a habit, it's a silent statement about the way you're steering your life. Napoleon Hill, the author of the book Think and Grow Rich, realized this early on. He said that the very first thoughts you nurture after waking up set the mental and emotional tone for the entire rest of your day. It's as if those thoughts were the steering wheel deciding which direction your day, and by extension your life, will take. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you woken up late, rushed to get ready for work, got stuck in traffic, arrived exhausted and unfocused, and ended up spending the whole day putting out fires that weren't even yours to begin with? That isn't really a shortage of time. It's a lack of direction. Because if you don't deliberately set the tone of your day, someone or something else surely will. And this is exactly where the secret of people who build extraordinary things lies. They don't let their mornings happen by accident. Napoleon Hill once shared that in his early years as a journalist writing for small, debt-ridden newspapers, he barely had anything. No wealth, no reputation. But he did hold on to something that most people underestimate: command over his mornings. Every single day he would wake before dawn, even in the hardest times, and give that first hour to reflection and planning. While the rest of the city still slept, Hill would ask himself, "What can I do today that will bring me closer to my purpose?" And it was through this practice, even when he was hungry and mocked by others, that he eventually became an advisor to 2 presidents of the United States and wrote one of the best-selling books in history. And if you think this sounds like empty motivational talk, know that science backs it up. A study published by the Harvard Business Review found that professionals who devote the first hour of their day to focus and planning experience, on average, roughly 23% less stress and up to 31% higher productivity. This happens because, from a neurological point of view, the brain functions in alpha waves right after waking. It's a state of heightened openness, where thoughts, beliefs, and emotions sink in more deeply. In other words, if you start your day thinking about your problems and chores, you're programming your mind to run in survival mode. But if you begin with intention and clarity, you switch on leadership mode. Have you noticed how some people seem to have an incredible burst of energy first thing in the morning? And it isn't because they slept more hours. It's because they decided on the direction of their day before the world tried to decide it for them. People who build fortunes, transform their finances, and become leaders in their fields don't wake up just to react. They wake up to take charge. So ask yourself, who's really setting the tone of your mornings? Is it you or your phone? You or the breaking news? You or your own anxiety? Now imagine that tomorrow, before even checking a single notification, you close your eyes for 2 minutes and ask yourself, what do I want to experience today? What feeling do you want to carry? What energy do you wish to project? What choice do you need to make? And then you write it down, maybe a single sentence, an intention, a promise to yourself. It might seem like such a tiny act, but it's exactly this kind of small, conscious step that sparks true transformation. Napoleon Hill taught that it's the small, intentional decisions taken over and over that shape the character of someone who wins. And it doesn't need to be anything grand. It can be something as simple as, "Today I will not complain," or "Today I'll finish that difficult task before 10 o'clock in the morning." The secret is not in how hard the challenge is, but in the commitment to a direction. Because if you don't make a decision early on, you'll spend the rest of the day putting out fires. If you want to see this in real life, just look at self-made millionaires, high-performance athletes, or entrepreneurs who started from scratch. Every one of them follows a structured morning routine. Some meditate, others read, some exercise, but there is a common thread. Purpose comes before demands. Decision comes before reaction. That's why the morning routine is more than just a habit. It's a ritual of personal leadership. And if you think this doesn't work for you because your life is too fast-paced, your mornings are too chaotic, or your reality is different, let me tell you this: that's exactly why you need to begin. Because life will never slow down to give you time to get organized. It's you who must pause and choose, even if it's just for 2 minutes. So tomorrow, before you get out of bed, before you check your messages, take a deep breath. Visualize your day. Think of 3 words you want to feel. They could be confidence, clarity, and strength. Say them out loud to yourself. Then, write down on paper what you need to do to keep those 3 words alive throughout the rest of your day. That's mental strategy. That's direction. That's taking ownership of your story. And if today you feel lost, unfocused, or unmotivated, it's not because your life is meaningless. It's because you're waking up just to survive, not to lead. The good news is, this change can start tomorrow, at the exact moment your alarm goes off. All you need to do is decide who will choose the tone of your day, you or the world. There is a quiet force that separates those who merely get through the day from those who consistently achieve results. That force is called momentum, and it doesn't happen by accident. It's built deliberately in the very first moments of the morning. Most people waste that opportunity. They wake up tired, postpone hard tasks, and start their day in crisis mode. But the secret of those who build empires, enduring careers, and fulfilling lives lies in understanding this. The very first action of your day is the seed that determines the harvest of the hours to come. Napoleon Hill used to say, "Small victories lead to great achievements," and he didn't say that lightly. When he was broke, discredited, writing down his ideas while others mocked him, he understood that each morning was a chance to build a piece of what he dreamed of. Hill turned his mornings into moments of choice. He would write down his daily goals, pick the toughest task, and tackle it before the world had a chance to interfere. Because he understood, the difficult thing you postpone doesn't disappear. It lingers, drains your energy, and blocks your progress. Science explains this clearly. There's a mechanism in our brain known as the reticular activating system. Think of it like an internal radar. When you begin your day by completing something important, especially something that demands courage or concentration, you release dopamine, the chemical responsible for motivation and reward. That surge of dopamine creates a sense of accomplishment that fuels your entire day. It's like tipping the first domino. The momentum builds, and the opposite is also true. When you begin with procrastination, small acts of avoidance become a pattern. Want a real-world example? John D. Rockefeller, the legendary oil tycoon, was fanatical about his morning routine. He would wake up before anyone else, identify the most strategic or most difficult task, and get it done right away. Or simply that moment when everything seems to fall apart all at once. And do you know what truly separates those who collapse from those who manage to walk through the chaos standing tall? It is neither talent, nor luck, nor privilege. It is resilience. And the most intelligent, most strategic, and quietest way to build this strength lies in what you choose to do, or not to do, in your mornings. Napoleon Hill understood this better than most. He grew up facing hardship, lost his mother when he was still very young and had to start working early on. Throughout his life, he faced bankruptcy, political persecution, and severe economic crises. In fact, during the Great Depression of 1929, while thousands of business owners went under, Hill lost nearly everything. Yet instead of giving in, he kept his morning routine unchanged. He believed that the way you start your day is the most important training for dealing with the blows that life lands without warning. And the truth is, everyone wants to be strong when problems arrive, but few prepare beforehand. Most wait for chaos to react. And when chaos finally comes, they realize they have no structure, no emotional anchor, no clarity to act. On the other hand, those who create small moments of resilience early in the morning build this inner muscle to face the bad days. Because resilience is not born at the moment you fall. It is built in the small daily confrontations. How many times have you caught yourself saying, "I can't take this anymore," or "I have no strength left for this"? And the question is not whether difficulty will come, but whether you will be ready when it does. Winston Churchill, another legendary name in history, led an entire nation under bombs, hunger, and terror. And still, he kept a morning ritual he refused to give up. He would write, reflect, and repeat to himself the convictions that kept him firm. He knew that the battle of the day began inside his mind, before any decision or war meeting. The same applies to you. When you wake up and allow your phone notifications or problems to enter before you take charge of your own mind, you start at a disadvantage. And the day becomes a series of reactions instead of decisions. But if you wake up and dedicate 10 minutes to breathing, meditating, writing down 3 things you feel grateful for, or facing discomfort like getting up without pressing snooze, taking a cold shower, or going for a walk, you are training resilience. It may seem small, but these little challenges build the quiet certainty that you are capable of enduring discomfort. And do you know what that means? That when the big hardship comes, it won't break you. Because the emotional muscle you trained on difficult mornings prepared you for that very moment, and science proves it. Studies from Columbia University show that people who intentionally expose themselves to small daily discomforts have lower levels of anxiety and a greater capacity to make decisions under pressure. This is not about becoming a martyr or waking up every day to suffer. It is about making it clear to yourself first thing in the morning that you are stronger than any laziness, any fear, any excuse, that you control your emotional state before any news, any demand, or any difficulty. And when this training becomes part of your routine, it becomes your fortress. It protects you on days when everything goes off track, because while many collapse, you face the problem calmly, because you have practiced for it in smaller doses every morning. And the difference between those who win and those who sink lies exactly in this anticipation. Any goal or notification, turn your mornings into a training ground. Ask yourself, what can I do today to push myself out of my comfort zone? It might be getting up at the right time, starting the day without checking your phone, or tackling early the task you've been postponing. Every small act of morning discipline is a statement. I am greater than my fear. I control my mind. And when adversity arrives, because it will, you won't ask, why me? Instead, you'll ask, what do I do now? This shift in mindset is what defines leaders, builds empires, and saves lives. Napoleon Hill said, failure carries within it the seed of an equivalent benefit, but only those who train their eyes to see it harvest that seed. Your resilience doesn't emerge from chaos. It is born in the quiet of the morning, in the discipline of small actions most people consider insignificant, yet they shape the kind of person you will become. And when the storm comes, because it always does, you won't break. You will get through it, because unlike most, you have trained for this. There is a silent truth that governs all our lives, one that most ignore. The world you live in is not defined by external circumstances, but by the beliefs you carry when you wake up. And this is not cheap philosophy, it is neuroscience. Napoleon Hill understood this more than 100 years ago when he stated that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But there is a detail. Conception and belief are formed or destroyed in the first hours of the day. Most people wake carrying, in just the first few minutes, a mental inheritance of doubt, fear, and limitation. They mentally repeat, "This is not for me, I can't do it. It will be another hard day." And once these beliefs settle in early, in the morning, the rest of the day becomes just a confirmation of what you chose to believe. Your mind, programmed to seek coherence, begins to filter the world to reinforce the story you have fed it. Henry Ford said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." And he wasn't using a figure of speech. He built the automotive industry empire not because he was the richest, but because he believed it was possible. Before any investment, before any factory, he mentally constructed what no one else saw, because he knew belief shapes reality. And do you know the point? It is not the world holding you back. It is the beliefs you accepted as truth every morning. How many times have you woken up and said to yourself, "I'm not in the right mindset for this today," or "Today will be a tough day"? And worse, how many of those pessimistic predictions actually came true throughout the day? It was no coincidence. It was mental programming. This happens because the brain, upon waking, operates in a state of high receptivity, in alpha and theta waves. In this state, everything you affirm or feel gains strength and is recorded more intensely in your subconscious. That's why great achievers, from Olympic athletes to millionaire executives, develop morning affirmation routines. It's not vanity, it's strategy. They don't wake up and wait for motivation to appear. They create the mindset they need. And here is where many people sabotage themselves, because they confuse belief with desire. Wishing for success is not the same as believing it is possible. Desire without firm belief turns into frustration, and belief only strengthens when it is repeated, affirmed, and filled with emotion. That is why Napoleon Hill emphasized the importance of affirming your beliefs each morning by looking at yourself and saying out loud, "I am capable, I deserve this, I will succeed." This might sound odd to some, but until you develop this conviction, you operate on autopilot, believing more in your limitations than your possibilities. Science supports this idea. Research from Carnegie Mellon University showed that people who practice positive affirmations daily lower their cortisol levels, the hormone related to stress, and face challenges with greater resilience. Because when you believe you are capable, your brain activates areas responsible for more decisive decision-making and reduces the fear response. This changes the course of your entire day. For those who think this doesn't work and consider it just cheap motivational talk, I say, look closely at your life and observe. What do you believe about money, about success, about relationships, about yourself? These beliefs silently shape your actions. If you believe money is hard to come by, everything in your day will confirm this story. If you believe success is only for a few, every opportunity will be met with doubt. If you believe you are not capable, every challenge becomes a threat. Now, imagine waking up and, before any bad news, before any demands, repeating to yourself, strongly and with conviction, "I am the master of my destiny. I create opportunities. I attract solutions." And it is not enough to just repeat these words mechanically. You must feel them. You must see yourself in that moment. You must be moved by the idea, because it is emotional repetition that transforms belief into conviction. And conviction is what separates those who try from those who achieve. If you look at history, you will see that humanity's greatest achievements were not born out of resources, but from conviction. Nelson Mandela, even imprisoned for decades, woke each day reaffirming the certainty that his people's freedom was possible. Walt Disney, bankrupt and rejected countless times, never stopped believing in the magical world he envisioned in his mind, because they knew that before any visible action, the battle was fought in the mind. And you? What have you been feeding your mind with? Because there is nothing more dangerous than a negative belief nurtured every day. It becomes a prophecy, an identity, a prison. The only way to break free is to start in the morning, while your mind is still clear, while the day's current has not yet dragged you away. So, before your phone, before social media, before the news, look at yourself, talk to yourself. Write it down, declare your beliefs, set your narrative. Because those who wake up believing in their own greatness, even amidst difficulties, see opportunities where others see obstacles. And if you do this day after day, you will notice your reality slowly begins to align with what you believe. Not because life has become easier, but because you have become mentally unshakable. In the end, this is what builds legacies. How you begin your mornings is not a small detail, it is destiny. The first decisions you make upon waking shape your focus, your energy, and above all, your belief about what is possible for you. It does not matter where you are now or what you are facing. The power to change the course of your life lies in what you choose to think and do early in the day, while the rest of the world is still distracted. And if this made sense to you, do not stop here, because in the next video, which is already appearing on your screen, we will climb one more step on this ladder of practical, real wisdom to help you become 1% better than you are right now. And believe me, 1% every day changes an entire life. Thank you very much for being here with me. I will see you in the next video. Let's go together.